Okay, YouTube, this is our project for this video. This is probably my favorite. If I had to pick any engine series or any engine to work on, this is honestly probably the one I would pick. It's the Briggs Quantums. They're super easy and reliable to work on. Pretty much everybody has owned one, and if you've ever cut any kind of grass, you've used one. And they're just the old kind of flathead like Briggs and Strattons. This is a 2000 model, so she's a little older, but it's a pressure washer pump, and the reason I have it is I have to replace the fuel line. I got this pressure washer for free, so we're going to replace the fuel line in this video, and I'll let you see how you do that. And this will go for any Briggs Quantum engine and pretty much any lawnmower out there. The sizes might be different, but the procedure is going to be very similar. This is a 190cc Quantum on a DeVilbiss pressure washer, I guess. It's made in Italy. I don't know. But yeah, let's get started here. The tools you'll need for this is a 5/16 socket, just like that. And it doesn't really matter what size. Pliers like this. It can be lineman's, needle nose. It doesn't really matter. Some kind of plier. And optional is a flathead screwdriver. You might need that to get the fuel line off. And your fuel line. This is readily available. I don't suggest going to Lowe's or Home Depot to get it because they upcharge a crazy amount. It's a 1/4 inch inner diameter, and as long as that's right, you'll find a fuel line that'll fit. Just this one's from, I think, AutoZone, and it's, I don't know, $3 for 2 foot or something along that lines. Not very much. It's as long as it's a 1/4 inch inner diameter, it'll fit on this. And there is clamps that go on this, but if you're replacing the fuel line, you'll already have it. If you don't, you can use zip ties or band clamps, or if you want to purchase the clips, that'll work too. But yeah, first thing you want to do, make sure you have no gas in it. That's very important because you're going to be taking out the fuel line and gas will spill everywhere. And probably if you're replacing the fuel line, you're probably already spilling gas anyway, but just make sure you empty out the fuel. So first, you got one bolt right here. That's 5/16, or it's a flathead. I'd much rather use bolts. I mean a socket than a flathead. So this will expose your air filter. This just pops out when you bend it like that, and now you see your air filter. Pull that out. Now's a good time to check it or clean it off. And I'm trying to make sure you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Get you guys a little closer here. And this, you just got this giant shield, and you have 3 bolts. 1 bolt there, 1 bolt here, and 1 bolt here. You'll see them, they're black in this case. Actually, maybe help turn that light on. So yeah, doesn't really matter which order you do it, just undo it. Like I said, it's 5/16. Most of the bolts on Briggs and Strattons are. Bolt 1, bolt 2, and the last one is right here. Bolt 3. And next, this whole plate right here is going to come off. And you have like a gasket right here. That's your air intake gasket. This one's a little shredded, as you can see, I hope. And something important to note is there's this little tube on the back of this thing, and well, this air intake shroud thing, and there's a little nozzle you hook it up to when you hook it back up. So when you go to hook it back up, make sure that reconnects onto there. So just set that off to the side. Now you can see your whole fuel line right here. Let's switch. There we go. And you have a clip here for it, and you have a clip right here. So undo those. Now I've taken a fuel line off an older machine and put it on this one because I have a bunch of Quantum engines laying around, so I just have, I like to trade it, and believe it or not, both these fuel lines were leaking, so I had to go out and buy a new one, but a lot of times you don't really have to if you have another one. Surprisingly, I don't see many of these leaking very often. So next you want to do is pull that fuel line off this carb. That's why I said you might want to use the flathead screwdriver for, but actually I think it might be easier to start down here, and then we can just pull off the other side. Trying to get you guys light. I don't know why it's showing up so dark. So there you go. Pop that off. You can see I got a little gas drip in there. No big deal. And then for this one, a lot of times they'll just pull right off, hopefully. Give it a little help here. There you go. So that's the fuel line we're taking off. And you can see this one has green clamps. Not all of them have green clamps. But you'll want to take these clamps off. Once again, you can just grab them off with the pliers. Set them down like that. There you go, 2 clamps. And if you're unsure, if 1/4 doesn't fit, which it most likely will, just take this to your nearest auto parts dealer, and they can hook it up for you. You always you can double check. It's pretty much the same line. Of course, this one's going to be a little stretched out because it's been on there. This line came off like a 98 snapper mower, so that's where I got this to put on that, but it's bad as well. So we're going to cut this to size here. Let me get something to cut it with. So I got a pair of lineman pliers here. That'll work. And we're just going to back it out a little bit. You're going to just lay it next to it here and try to copy the same length. Which is roughly, it's not exact. As long as it's on there, you're good. I'll roughly cut it right there. There we go. That's about the correct length. I'll measure it for you guys here. Okay, guys, so I measured it, and you're looking at about 6 3/4 inches of fuel hose here. There you go, that's what I'm using. Okay, now you want to make sure you put these clips back on to the hose. Like such. Like I said, you can use a band clamp if you have to, if you break them or something like that. But now I can move back in here, and surprisingly my LED flashlight is dying, and now this just slides on to each of those fuel nipples there. Nice and easy like that. And then the other side. I'm going to have to adjust this clamp. There we go. slides right on, just like that. And don't forget to put these clamps back in. Not all the way at the end, but relatively close. And then you can see this final one right here. Clamp it back down. I like to push in between there to make sure it's nice and clamped, but as you can see, that fuel hose is good. Now these are gravity fed, so it's you don't really want it to go up. Obviously on this one it's going to go up a little bit. You should be okay. Back to the reassembly here. So there's a gasket right here. It's important that you try to make sure that gasket's there. That gasket's relatively important, but you know, if there's a small break in it or it's in maybe 2 pieces, that'll be fine. It'll run it like that just fine. There's not much to this gasket. I mean, if you want to cut one out of gasket material, that's fine. But remember, as I said earlier, make sure this connects back up with this little port right here. That's some kind of crankcase vent, I think. Here we go. And it should just line up pretty good. We'll get your bolt holes, make sure they go in, and then, as we saw earlier, 3 bolts. And then the last bolt. Go. I usually like to start these with by hand here. Most of the time they'll go in pretty easy. You don't want to strip anything out. And then the one up top here. Now that gasket pretty much recirculates crankcase vent and keeps the dirty air and the clean air separate. So you want to tighten these up till they're pretty snug. Remember, it's just plastic, so it doesn't need to be crazy tight. Just snug them up like such. And there we go. You gotta put on air filter back in like that. Grab your air filter cover. Goes in like that. And I'll demonstrate the other method here. You can use your flathead screwdriver to do this, but like that if you so choose to prefer. Goes in just like that. And there you have it. That is a fuel line installation for a Briggs Stratton Quantum engine. Now, this is optional, but some people will choose to install either a fuel filter right there or a fuel cutoff. That's all optional and not 100% necessary. This is how it comes from the factory, so that's just how I replaced it. But thanks for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the video.